This that Loopy Chicken. I am back with another episode of Wake Up Loopy for Loopy Land Radio, Talk Radio. And I am here with Adair, and we are going to be talking today about Jupiter's Legacy. And I had to look down because I continuously forget what the name of the show is called. Um, I
That's the fun.
do.
That's funny.
So Adair, did you want to go ahead and introduce yourself? He's been on the show a lot, so at this point, he shouldn't have to introduce himself, but I do know we may have some new listeners. So, Adair, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's going on, everybody? This is Adair Rowan, aka Adaro, aka your cousin, your brother, your uncle, a daddy, a husband, a son, all of those things. I'm a photographer, videographer, writer, singer, lyricist, whatever. I do a little bit of everything. You might have checked me out back in the day. I did a gospel CD called "A Call to the Spirit Man." Check that out. It's on iTunes if you want to get it. I'd appreciate it. Pick it up. It might bless your soul. But yeah. How you doing today, Luffy? Your audio went out.
I am doing Aussie Saucy Great, Awesome Saucy Great, all the awesome sauce. My audio went out because I muted myself because I am multitasking. Also, okay, so Jupiter's Legacy. I was at my godmom's house on Mother's Day, and I was like, "What do we watch? What do we watch next? Where they're smashing things and there's blood, because that's generally the direction that we go in." And I went to Netflix and I saw Jupiter's Legacy. And I was like, oh, Netflix has their little version of The Boys. That's in my head, I'm thinking that's probably what the direction this is going in. And I'm like, I didn't really like The Boys. I didn't get past like the second or third episode. I just felt like it tried too hard to be evil. I like a relaxed kind of evil. Like I just felt like it tried too hard. Everything about it was too. So I watched this one and Jupiter's Legacy. And from the first episode, I was like, this is it. I do want to let you guys know that there will be spoilers. I will not hold anything back. Everything that I remember, I will say if I want to. That is your one warning. So I ended up watching it yesterday and I loved it. I watched all 8 episodes. They were great. I love the dynamic between bouncing back between good and evil, deciding what's good and evil. Especially if you're a person that's a faith into any type of faith or spiritual, you would understand why the concept of creating your own ideas of what good and evil should be is hilarious. But outside of that, Adair, how did you come across it, Jupiter's Legacy? Because I saw no promotion.
Oh yeah, I actually saw the promotion for it a couple of times. Maybe about, I think I saw the first time I saw a preview for it was maybe about a month or so ago, and I was like, oh, Jupiter's Legacy, what's that going to be about? Because at the time they didn't really show you anything. It was just the little graphic, and then maybe a couple of weeks ago I saw like the first snippet, and I was like, oh, this looks interesting. It's like another little superhero type of deal. But then when I actually sat down and watched it, I was like, oh, this is a little different. So it's been maybe about a month, maybe a month and a half if that I first started seeing the promos for it. Might have been longer than that, but that's about as far back as I can recall for sure. But I guess I was trying to figure out, because the name threw me, because initially it made me think of, what was that one with Tatum? What's his name?
That movie with Mila Kunis.
Yeah, Jupiter Ascending. That's what it made me think of at first, and I was like, "Oh, is this a sequel to that?" Like, that's what I thought.
It's really funny because nowhere in the show do they mention anything by the name of Jupiter or
Right.
Nothing like there's no mention of Jupiter. Who is this Jupiter and why is it in the title?
Right. I was that kind of had me going, what? Because I was thinking that Jupiter's legacy, like the lead person would have been he went by Jupiter, but then I'm like, oh, his name is Utopian. What? Yeah, so that kind of threw me, but other than that, I mean, it was still a good little series. Um, but I like there were some elements of it that I dug. But I mean, we can get into that as we go a little further.
Okay. So let's start with the first really the first two big conflicts. No. Rewind. The first three big conflicts. Not even big, but the first three conflicts. I didn't have any water, so excuse me, guys. The first three conflicts are we find Chloe, the daughter, who is emotional and
Self-destructive.
We'll see. I'm thinking of her as a child. The first scene
Oh,
we
oh
have
yeah,
is
yeah,
when
yeah, yeah,
she's a kid.
yeah.
And she's like, oh, you gonna listen to me? You gonna listen to me and what I say? I said you was down. You down. Let me show you how down you are. And then she showed him how down he was. That's the first conflict. So she already was butting heads with the code there. And she was already mentally unstable there because you see her brother had to hug her to calm her down. So that's the first conflict within the family. Excuse me, within the family. The second
that we saw.
That we saw.
Yeah.
The second conflict within the family or Utopian's little family he created is, excuse me, somebody didn't plug in their laptop. I'm somebody. So the second conflict we have is the brother, the brother going out and being a little bit reckless by going out by himself. I guess he's trying to prove that he can live up to his dad. Okay, so that is the second big conflict that we have. The third big conflict that we have is they got lost it. So the third big conflict that we have is him killing someone. Okay, so we're gonna leave the little girl alone for now because she's not that big. That's not that big of a conflict. You can see the daddy issues just draining from that. Draining is not the right word, but leaking. Like she posts his daddy issues. Dear Lord, bless her heart. And moving on to the son living up to the dad. One thing I don't understand about the dad is him. I don't disagree with a lot that he says, but I do disagree with the way he operates in the land of him trying to act like he's been through what his son has been through. He hasn't, because his son was born with his powers. He wasn't. He was not born with powers. He doesn't know what it is to be born with powers and to go through puberty with powers and to come into your own power. Like, to me, you haven't been through this. You don't know what's going to come, what I'm going to become. I don't like the way he handles it. Like, he doesn't. There are fix-it dads who know, like, dads tend to be the fix-it guy. They tend to be the person that'll criticize you the most because they want you to fix what they see is wrong. I
can agree with
that. But the way he goes about doing it is as if he's looking down on you. The way, like, he's on this, he has this way about how he does it where it's like it's not constructive. The thing about criticism is only productive if it's constructive criticism. If it's not constructive criticism, then it's not going to work. And yeah, he'll calm down and come back and talk, but the damage is already done. You can't take back what you've already said when you were angry. And at this point, the man is like 120 years old. you should have a little patience.
Well,
Um, the third issue is if my son killed someone who was about to kill me, what I'm not going to do after he just saw all of his, a few of his friends die, what I'm not going to do is chew his head off in front of the rest of his friends, in front of everyone. Not even a thank you. So to me, that's the biggest, one of the biggest conflicts in the story is I don't feel like the coach should change. But I feel like maybe that there should be exceptions to the code, like when you're about to die. Like there was this one girl who was really adamant to, and she was really adamant about sticking to the code, and she got killed for it. Like she held back.
oh, that was
In
Ghost
the
Beam. That was the Ghost Beam
yes,
girl. Yeah.
exactly. She held back, and the villain didn't. The villain
Mm.
did not hold back, and so because she held back, she ended up dying, and the villain got away. And
Mm.
it's like there comes a time where you have to use as much force as the enemy that's using the force against you. So the code is there for a reason. You should not be, if you kill someone, you should have to go through the same thing police officers have to go through. Not that it's productive. But in an idealistic world, you should have to say, hey, this is what happened. This is how it ended. I did end up taking a life. It is not the first thing that I wanted to do, but it was him or me. In the land of you or me, I choose me always, all the time, 24/7, every day of the week. I'm going to choose me. So I don't understand the concept of him telling every one of his superheroes to sacrifice their life in exchange to allow themselves to be killed. That is literally what he's saying. Hold back and allow yourselves to be killed in the situation because taking a life is worse. Hold back and let your teammate be killed because taking a life is worse.
Well, okay, so I had my own issues with the code too because I felt like one, they're trying to pull from the old Superman code. That's what I thought. That's what ran through my mind was before they rebooted Superman with Henry Cavill. Superman wasn't about killing. He always would, find some other way to trap them, put them in the Phantom Zone, whatever. And so I thought, you know, it is a new time and a new day from the 30s when y'all initially got your powers to the present time, and I don't even remember what specific time it didn't really get. I don't remember seeing a year, so I'm just I felt like it felt more like an 80s or 90s kind of time period, but I don't know. I don't remember seeing a date,
It
the
was the
present day.
30s. Oh,
No, I'm talking about when the current time. I don't remember seeing a year, but
I thought the current times were within now. Like,
right. I mean, it didn't even seem like the same Earth to me. So, so, I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. But no, I mean, I kind of get your point about what the dad, what Utopian's idea was. But again, I mean, his name says it all. He's all about trying to guide humanity into a utopian society where doing what's best for everyone, and that should not mean you have to kill people. But I agree with you on I'm not just gonna let some dude stump your chest in when I can take him out. Like, that just makes no sense. I get the code, and you can be mad at me, you can be upset with me, but you here. I had to do what I had to do, so I get that. I definitely can see that conflict, but I also think that it's like at some point I remember Lady Liberty Grace saying, you need to listen and actually hear what these new heroes are telling you, because a lot of them didn't seem to be at the same level as Utopian and Lady Liberty or Chloe. Even what was his name, Brandon? What? Yeah,
Brandon, his
Brandon.
son.
He didn't. It was weird. It seemed like they got tossed around like toilet paper real quick, and then when he get angry, then he get all this strength. So
That's
that was
because he's holding back. He's literally holding back, and he's not supposed to use the fullness of his powers because he's not supposed to kill.
hmm,
So if I gotta hold back against you, then that means it's a lot more work to hold back against someone and contain them than it is to kill someone. So
yeah,
so you have to hold back and then learn how to use your powers in a way that won't kill him. His sister didn't care.
yeah.
So
When she smacked that girl up into the clouds, I was like, whoa. I was like,
she
where was that power from the brother? I was like,
she gave and he feels like he has more on his shoulders. He feels like he has more of a responsibility. Honestly, by the time you get to the end, when Utopian was about to break his rule
yeah,
before that girl came in, he was about to break his rule,
yeah.
but he took too long.
He did, because
He took too long.
I'd had to take old boy on now and been like, hey, I know I got the code, but I'm gonna tell you right now, if a life is in danger, I'm gonna have to take you on out, player. Just understand, I don't want to have to do that. I'm telling you, I don't want to have to do that. So if you see me coming, just go and lay down.
Yeah. Utopian is he's so idealistic, and he's like his dad knew his sons. He's such a dreamer. And dreamers are good, but dreamers need to be checked, just like realists need to be checked.
Yeah. But
And
I guess my one, what I don't recall, and I could have missed it, but I don't recall there being, and I'm sure this will be explored in the next season should they have a second season. Where did you come up with this code at? Because what you saw your daddy go through and what everybody went through, I'm like, where did this code come from?
where? How did we come up with this code? Who made him the leader of the crew? How did he become the leader? Just because he was the one that had the visions, automatically he's the one that makes the decisions and leads everyone?
Yeah.
Because I would not have chose him as the leader. It's like having Captain America, only worse. Like I cannot get behind this idealistic mind. And it's like he's trying to push the world to thinking like him, and he's in denial that the world doesn't accept his ways.
Yeah.
And like I said before, I am not for killing at all. You don't have to kill except when you're a villain, and I love you and I love that you're a villain and I'm rooting for you to kill, but that's only fiction. Okay? Killing bad. His brother, let's go to Walt. Walt struck me as a villain immediately. He looks like a villain. Let's start there. They told you he was a villain by giving him his look. Look at him. Look at him. Right there. Don't he look like a villain?
I mean, I can admit I kept looking at him going like, what is going on with his face? Like, it's weird, especially when you see the younger version of him. And I was just like, but I also saw that animosity between him and his brother. Like that was definitely a weird thing to me. But I think, because I don't know, sometimes I when I talk to my older brother, when I talk to John, I'll be like, hey, we sometimes have conversations about how each of us perceived how our parents interacted with us, and like I thought he just got to do whatever he wanted to do, and he thought I got to do whatever I wanted to do, and so there's always that. I don't know if it's necessarily a sibling rivalry versus more of a sibling jealousy or envy of some type. But it's definitely made up by the perception, the point of reference of that individual character. But I thought it was also interesting that Utopian's relationship with George was, to me, more of a true brother relationship than with his own brother. But then I guess George was kind of like him. He was a dreamer as well. Always wanted to put forth this great sunshine, paint the clouds with sunshine. And I was like, what is that about? That was weird.
I love George's character. I love George's character.
But you know who George's character reminded me of? It was like watching
Johnny from the Fantastic Four.
No, maybe a little bit, but more. It's not necessarily a character. It's the actor Billy. What's his name? He's played in. He did the Phantom. No, not the Phantom. Yeah, he did where he wore the purple thing with the island, and then he also did Hitman, the first Hitman movie. I can't think his name. I think it's Billy something, but that guy, that particular actor, his way of playing a villain, kind of that jovial kind of thing. That's who that George, the person who's playing George, that's who he reminded me of. And I was like, this is interesting.
Well, see, Walt's biggest downfall and his biggest character flaw is two of them, insecurity and jealousy. He's overconfident within himself, so that's a third one. Which I guess isn't bad, but it's bad it's good and bad at the same time. He envies his brother's charisma, so much so that he feels like he should be getting everything that his brother has because he's smart. But there are usually two faces or two leaders of a company. In most cases, there's the person that's creative with charisma, and then there's the person who does the thinking. And the person, and sometimes there's three. So sometimes you have two, sometimes you have three. But generally, the person who's charismatic tends to be the dreamer. And the thinker tends to be the guy behind the scenes that catches all the holes that the dreamer doesn't see.
Yeah.
Keeps everything up and running. Those are both needed. They're both just as good as each other. Neither is better. He saw no positivity in the fact that his father taught him what the real business was, but did not teach his brother, the dreamer, what the real business was. So you knew all of your dad's secrets in the business, yet you thought you were not a favorite. You thought you weren't loved as much, but you weren't fed lies, and you weren't the face of the company, the person that went there that was good with people. So you thought you weren't the favorite and that you drew the short stick when you know all your daddy's secrets. To me, that's right there says it all. You know everything. So if I go tomorrow, you the one that I'm trusting with all the secrets of how we built this company. But he still can't see the positive in that. He still wants what his brother has. Let's add greedy to that. He greedy. He want to be smart, charismatic. He want to be the face, but he not. Everybody got their gifts. And his gift was not his brother's gift. And then he envied the way his brother and George were together. The bond that they had, it's a totally different bond. Even though they seem like brothers, you're blood. And he point blank told him that, which is probably, we don't know this yet, but it's probably why it was so easy to flip everybody on George. Because if my brother says it, then it's true, because that's my brother, that's my blood. He trusted his brother.
Mm-hmm.
Utopian is very naive. He's extremely naive. You can tell by his idealistics of how the world should be. So Those are Walt's biggest flaws. His biggest flaws, which is weird for me. So the reason why I'm going into this is because his biggest flaws are going to be the downfall of the team. They are the downfall of the team. He is the weakest link. Him and George were a weak link together. But he is the honest to God weakest link in the group. And I have to know how they got their powers if he had not gotten over any of this. Because you remember when they were on the island, they were all supposed to get over this.
Mm-hmm.
And the island was supposed to read to make sure they got over this and then decide if they were worthy. If he never got over any of this, how was he ever worthy?
Yeah.
Because even when they came back from the island, he still wasn't over it. Because remember when they were in the diner and he had to reassure him,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, no matter how close me and George are, it's never me and you. We're brothers. So what my biggest question is my biggest the thing that I can't grasp is why does he feel like and I know why he feels like he needs to do what he's doing, because he feels like he knows better, that he's smarter than everyone, he's always right and no one listens to him. He's that kid that shoots up the school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he is that kid. He killed his own daughter.
Yeah, that was crazy. I was like, oh snap. And my mom gave it away. Well, she didn't tell me specifically, but she was just like, he was cold to his daughter. And I was thinking he was talking about the man in the wheelchair. And I was like, what did he do to his daughter? And I was like, he didn't do nothing to his daughter. What's she talking about? And then when I saw it, I was like, oh, that was crazy. But you know what? So I agree with you on the one thing. I was like, how was he able to deceive this entity, whatever it was that gave them their powers? That was definitely one thing. Once you get to the end and you're like, oh, that's what happened. That's when they got him. Okay. But then you, like you said, you see a few months later, or I guess it was maybe 3 months later or a year or so later when they were in the diner, and you see that conversation, you're like, that was strange. But then also, so for those of you who haven't seen it, this is definitely a spoiler. I'm gonna tell you right now. When they found the device, I'll put it like that. When they found the device, and they were talking about George and how he liked the puzzles, and then we eventually found out when the daughter was having a discussion with Brainwave about figuring out what he had done. And then that made me wonder if and if you haven't seen the show, you might pick up on this. I don't know, but I felt like as a mind-bending character, there were a couple of things that they laid good groundwork on. That was that Nick of Time character with Chloe. And I was like, why are they showing this guy? But then when you find the device and the guy inside the clone dude and the watch is in there, and I was like, wait a minute. This is a watch he had back in the 1920s. How did this watch get in there? And then how he got it, but he still has it. So they gave me that Nick of Time's powers at some point get to a place where he can travel through time versus slightly manipulate time to slow it down. So I was like, okay, Brainwave, thinking he's so smart, he would manipulate or at some point eventually learn how to control another person and their abilities. So that's what it made me think of, is that he did something where he manipulated Sky Fox or controlled Sky Fox to get him to do something that, that upset the team. That was the one thing. Then the Nick of Time, because that would help, that would be a get back at Chloe, as well as whatever he was trying to do towards the Utopian. Um, but then also the last thing was in the last episode when that energy pulse from the island. I only noticed one person on the ship that we saw had a visual uh,
But
hint that
power,
some
but they never tell you what happens to him.
right, but
Mhm.
also everybody on that ship was exposed, and so I was thinking, well, maybe they didn't manifest. Maybe he manifests, and we'll find that out later. But the other people were exposed, and so then their offspring could be where these supers came from. Because I was thinking to myself, and that would mean Walt would have to be out there just dropping seed. Uh, and the I forget the other guy, the guy they found out in the middle of the ocean on the way, and we know that the black guy that went with them, he had a daughter. We don't even know how old she is really, because we know that they don't age at the same rate. So that was a whole nother thing because I was like, whoa, it's 90 years since 1930. That's a lot. That's a
And
lot.
what took wait off topic? It's on topic, but it's off topic of where you going. What took Grace and Utopian? What took them so long to reproduce? Like, what took all of them so long to have kids? All of their kids are like created in the last 20 to 25 years. What took them so long to have kids?
So I would think that one, and this is pure speculation. Even though she went with them, she got her powers with everybody, there was still an issue regarding the whole dad thing. Yeah, I forgive you, but I'm gonna keep you at arm's length. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of how I feel. Plus, I mean, they weren't a couple going in, so they probably could have been doing their own thing. She could have been had a little dude on the side, little D on the side, get
It
it
took
in
them
now and
7 years
then.
to get there. It took them 70
Well, but
years
I'm
to
saying
get
she could have
there.
been she could have been trying to get her groove on with just other people that she liked, and then nothing ever happened because she was changed and they weren't. There could have been some issue there. But again, that's just purely speculation. But I think also, like we found that she had her own ideals that she was suppressing and not saying to him, and so that may have taken her a long time to get to a place where she was just like, all right, I I don't always agree with you, but you still a good dude, and so I'm gonna roll with you. I mean, but that's just my perception of what we could see because we didn't see a whole lot of because I was trying to figure out. Wait a minute, well, how did y'all end up together when y'all almost couldn't stand each other? You know what I mean? That's what it was in the when we.
I mean, ain't that usually how it starts off though?
I mean,
Think
I
about
guess, I
taking
guess
time.
in some cases, yeah, but yeah,
So
that was interesting. But wait.
yeah,
Side
go
note,
ahead.
but on topic. What I do find interesting though is the hilarity of the similarities between this and the boys, like you said, Lady Liberty, and then you had the evil Liberty character in the boys, and I was like, I think there should be some copyright issues going on here. Like, I don't know what's happening.
Well, nope, they're each their own comics. They're each comics that have been around for a minute.
And even Brainwave, that's a character in
X-Men.
no Stargirl. They had a guy, I think that was his name, if I remember correctly. They had a character named Brainwave because I was like, that's interesting. And one other thing, the holding back, I feel like so there's even if you holding back, right, you're holding back on what you use to fight the person, but your defense should still be 100%. That's what I didn't understand about the characters, and like even in the first episode when people got killed, I was like, oh, well, they seem pretty weak. Like it was like they sent out the C team, and then the A team come in like, yeah, we're gonna go and hold it down, and then they was getting beat, and I was like,
Well, see, if they get emotional, if you notice, they're at their best defensive and offensively if they don't get emotional. Whenever they start to get emotional is when they get like when they are focused. Like Brandon tends to use his dad's words. I'm not sure he's ever going to be ready. He uses that not just for emotion, but he takes that emotion and he channels it in a way to focus. He uses
Okay.
that as a focus point, and that's when you see him at his strongest. I think that he's still coming into himself, and all of the kids.
Mm-hmm.
There are really only 3 adult supers out there who have been doing this for about 90 years. All of the kids are still fresh and new to doing this. Like, they're all in their early 20s.
Yeah.
And so they are the C team. There's the A team, and then there's a big jump to the C team because they're all still coming in their powers, and they're all still learning. They're second gen. They're still learning, and they're still becoming themselves in their powers. So they're still learning their focus points. They shouldn't, honestly, is my personal opinion, they should not be out there without one of the bigger supers.
But
They should
even
have teams, like 2 or 3 teams divided, led by someone with more experience.
I'm with you on that. But even with them having their focus, the A team, I'm sorry, it could just be me. It just seemed like they was getting whooped. Oh,
It was.
I was just like, but y'all, y'all supposed to be the big guns, and this dude just throwing y'all around. That was just weird to me. I mean, considering, we just saw what was it, the Snyder cut of Justice League, and Superman was so overpowered. It was like not impressed. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like it's weird because again, if you are trying not to use your total power in offense,
You should use it in defense.
your defense should be strong.
Yeah.
And that was weird. That was just a weird place, especially like you said, you've been doing this for 90 years. You should have that down. Like, I could see the kids getting mocked, but you, like, no, that didn't make sense to me.
And you notice they mentioned training, but you never saw them train. Like, you
True.
never got to see, like, how do you keep up with your fighting? What kind of fighting styles do you have? That's one thing I felt like that was neglected. They didn't go into detail about how they stay in shape to go out there and fight. You can't just have superpowers and be like, I'm going to go save the world and fight. It's not how that works. You have to practice on using those superpowers. And the only person that ever mentioned training was Brandon. No one else ever mentions training. You never see anyone train. So honestly, do they?
No, probably not. I'm sure they'll
That's probably why they get their butts whooped.
Yeah, because there's like you said, there's really not a teamwork. There was a little bit of teamwork before their first ones got killed, because it was like it looked like they had been working together, because then one did this and then the other one did that and then the other one did this, and they was trying to help each other, and that seemed like there was some coordination there. But even when Brandon was fighting with his dad against Black Star, I was like, what are you doing? You should be confident in what I'm doing. Everybody's doing their own thing. That's why we're getting our butts handed to us.
90 years and you guys still don't know how to set up to coordinate the fight? That's my biggest question. Is like, 90 years you've been doing this. You didn't just get your superpowers a year ago. Right. You've had them for 90 years. You've had 90 years to hone your powers. You've had 90 years to become the best you possible, to develop team fighting. There shouldn't even have to be a big chemistry. If you got all of those kids fighting for you, you should automatically have up someone like on a basketball court or with hand symbols calling out what you guys are doing and getting their formation and going. Like, there's no. They kind of neglected that.
It's like you have a de facto leader, but he actually doesn't give instructions.
No, and he expects you to go out there ready to die and die for everyone who's willing to kill you and kill everyone else. Like, and I don't like him as leader. Honestly, and this is not the feminism movement or anything like that. I'd prefer Grace as the leader. I would prefer Grace as the leader, Grace or Brandon. Brandon as a leader coming up, his sister as the what would you call it? What do you call
The
the
number
person?
two, the second in command.
No. Usually they are, but they're the person that'll come up to you and like scare the crap out of you, beat the crap out of you in a game.
Yeah, she the big gun.
The big gun. So the sister as backup big gun, and just like she the person that he trying to talk to you, she gonna punch you. The leader will try to talk to you first, she'll punch you in your face.
So she's the enforcer. That's the one. I think that's probably
Enforcer,
what you're
that is
looking
the
for.
word I'm
Yeah.
looking for. His sister as the enforcer, the mom as the leader, and the dad as the checks and balances. So that, to me personally, that's how I see it. That because the mom sees all sides and she tries to understand where everyone's coming from.
Yeah.
And she does grasp where everyone's coming from, including Chloe, which is why she never really jumps down Chloe's throat, because she's a 20-year-old girl who's a model living her life with her daddy issues. She knows how to talk to people. She's strong. And you're not gonna mess with her people. Like, you're just not gonna mess with her people at all. And she supports killing to protect yourself. So if I'm about to die, if we're all about to die, I support you taking his head off.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
I just feel like she's everything that he isn't, and he's still needed, but she's also, to me, she has more characteristics of a leader than he does.
Yeah, because his character is even though early on he wasn't, when he got his powers and became this character, Utopian, he seems to be more of the strong silent type. I'm gonna say this and that's gonna be it. And that doesn't work in the current world. I don't know anybody who just, I got a 6-year-old. I can't just tell him something one time and it just stick. It don't work like that. So that's, I don't know. But no, I was gonna say I agree with you. I do think that she's a more well-rounded character. It was something else just popped in my head and I lost it. Oh my God, I hate when that happens.
Me too, but I remembered mine that I lost about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, it'll come to me. It was something. Oh, I was curious as to a couple of the other characters, and again, I know second season, third season, whatever. Like the dude that had the ability to manipulate matter. I don't remember, because I was trying to figure out, like, that wasn't George. That was George was Skyfire. So that was I think that was the volunteer guy. No. Remember the one who did help with the autopsy?
The thingy. Oh, the guy that was the doctor. You think that was him?
I think that was the guy that was on the volunteer ship that they pulled out of the water on the way to the island. I think that's who that was, because that kind of threw me. I was like, it's been 90 years. I think that's because I think that was.
And he older, so he got to be.
Yeah, that was I think his name was Barnabas. Yeah, that was Barnabas. But he had the ability to manipulate matter on an atomic level, which I thought was really, like, I'm like, wow, that's a heck of a power to have. Where was he during the fights? Like, I'm not. Y'all go ahead and fight. I'll just wait until you're done, and I'll just do an autopsy. Like, what was going on with that? So that was strange. And like you said, I don't know. We never saw the brother in action. We saw him fly at the end of the last episode when he got his powers, but that was pretty much it. So I don't even. But what are his powers? What does he do? I don't know. That was weird.
I have a question as well. What is with Utopian's wig? That is a terrible wig. Like, they couldn't afford a better wig for his head.
No, I think the idea was to give it that he's, over these 90 years, it has weighed upon him, on his brow.
I'm not talking about the roughly stuff. That I get. It kind of looks. It has a look for it. That's fine. I'm talking about, you see at the top there, and how it fits on his head.
Okay, you didn't get more technical than I was going.
That is a
You meant
terrible
the action.
wig.
Okay. I thought you were just talking about the look. Okay, I'm sorry.
Nah. The look, it looks rustic, and he's a rustic character, so it fits. And what's to stop anybody else from making a second superhero team reunion? Like, why does what I don't
Yeah, that
understand
was
is why
weird.
his brother wants to take over his union. Why would he not just step out if he was gonna make everybody mad and cause indecision and stuff like that? Why wouldn't he just cause indecision and then step out, create his own team, and have people follow him? Like, why does he need to take over the union where there's not really a lot of people anyway?
But it's because like the point you made earlier is his his perception of I'm actually better than you, but in order for me to have smooth sailing, I have to destroy you. I have to tear you down to the nitty gritty.
He really
So
don't
that
though.
but it's not about what you really actually have to do. It's about what you think you have to do because you feel like, I mean, if I step out on my own, people gonna still look at him because he's the ideal, and I'm not, and that's the issue. It's kind of like the whole Batman Superman thing. Batman, I got to have a plan in place in case you lose your mind because you could just burn up the world. Superman, like, but that's never been my plan. That's not what I do. Like, no, so you know what I mean. So and I think that's where his his offset comes from.
That doesn't make sense for me, and I'll explain why.
Go
The
for it.
reason why that doesn't make sense is because 78% of Americans agree with what Brandon did when he killed the cloned black whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that means 78% of Americans, which is the majority of Americans by far, would agree with his ways of thinking versus utopians. So that coupled with the fact that he take people from the union with him, a decent amount, and they don't have a lot, so a decent amount of what they do have he take with him. That does not compute with me because the current public doesn't agree with utopians' current views.
Yeah, but that was the point I was trying to remember earlier. It jumped in and out. So the idea here is, so utopian's thing is there's always another way. Don't take a life. And I believe, and this is speculation, pure speculation, that his idea behind it is because once you do it once, it's easier the next time and the next time. And
Yeah.
then at some point, anything is a good reason to take a life. So for all intents and purposes, you want to do everything in your power to not do that. So I think that's the one thing. The issue about the 7-8%. 7-8% is fine today. What about tomorrow? Because ideas and the mood changes. So you can't be swayed on, well, this percentage of the people like it.
But everyone consistently agreed with in the TV show within the eight episodes, everyone consistently agreed with Walt versus his brother.
Mm-hmm.
Consistently.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't anything that was fair weather, and then it wasn't anything that was like fake. It was the honest to God. That's what the world had become. They agreed that that they did not agree with. They agreed with Walt, but they did not agree with Utopian. So that
But
is
was
how.
it? But also the perception is, was it? Did the public know that Walt felt that way, or did they? Was it the public agree with Brandon? Because again, in the vision thing, it was about taking Utopia and Brandon out of the picture.
Yeah, they agree with Brandon. But if Brainwave was to branch off from the union and create something new, I don't feel like he'd have a problem recruiting, and I don't feel like he'd have a problem with doing what. And he wouldn't even be doing things on the same level. That's what's really irky about this entire situation. His brother is lower level robbers, criminals type mindset. His whole political this. So he's trying to get up here. His brother's fine with being down here. Mm-hmm. So they wouldn't even to me cross paths.
But they would.
In a big way.
They would. How? And they would because Utopian would say, if you over there killing folks, I gotta stop you. And you're gonna end up in Supermax. Because remember, he couldn't get into Utopian's mind. I think he's using that doctor dude that's in jail.
That's Utopian's idea of, and that's what she was saying. You're trying to control everything and everyone. You can't control everything and everyone. Everybody has a different belief system. So basically, the reason why no one will branch out and create a new team is because Utopian considers himself the check and balances, and he feels like he needs to stop them. But if I'm not breaking any laws and my team is official, like your team is official, you actually coming to attack me is against the law.
But that's
you're attacking me for no reason. So let's break it all the way down to government laws. Since Utopian wants everybody to abide by laws, government law says that my team is an official. Just like they don't go into detail about how their team becomes official at policing. But if my team is official at policing, we've been approved by the government to do what we do. You are breaking laws to come over here and attempt to put me, you can't even put me in jail because I'm doing what I'm doing by the law, by the book. You're actually assaulting me right now.
Right, but again, the issue would still come down to the government don't really get it. We are super powered, and it's too easy for you to go down that slippery slope. And because the only reason Utopian would have to attack them would be is if they are killing people.
Like, and what I'm saying is if the government supports it, then he would in that case be fighting the government. He would not just be fighting his brother, he'd be fighting all of the government. And to me, it's better, it's smarter to take the government and use the government against you because you're coming after the government enemy, to use the government against you than to do all of what he's doing. It's easier to break off, create my own team, make happy with the government, make my little deals, be political, and get set up to where it's legal for me to kill someone if I want to. I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying to me, that's smarter because now you're getting to come at me, you would have to get into politics, which goes against your code.
True. But that also shows how non-intellectual Brainwave actually is. You know what I'm saying? Like, he thinks he's so smart that this is an idea that never crossed his mind. Like, it's so far out of his mind. It's like, no. In order for me to be the big man on top, I got to get rid of you. And then I can become the leader and I can make the code what I want it to be. Okay, we're going to change the code now that he out the way.
I wouldn't say it shows how smart he's not. I'd say it shows how blinded he is by jealousy. That it's not about leading a team and doing things different in his way. It's about taking something from his brother.
Yeah.
That is his jealousy. His jealousy has taken over, and it's about saying, you never listen to me. You always treat me like I don't matter. Now it's my turn to treat you like you don't matter. But I mean, it's time for me to make you feel what I've been feeling.
But I'm with you, but the thing about it is what all scientists have said, or I'm not gonna say all, a majority of scientists have said, is when you angry, you lose points of intelligence because you're acting blindly. Yep. So, and that's what I meant by it is, in agreement with what you're saying, basically is, I mean, he's smart, but he's not as smart as he thinks he is, and his long-term view is actually not very long. It's actually very short. It's only in the now, in this moment, so that I can do what I want to do and cover my tracks. and then I'm gonna do something else and cover my tracks. Even though I set this whole thing in motion, and I still think there's gonna be a time travel MacGuffin in here somewhere, because that's what I feel like that whole thing set up. But yeah, I mean that Cain and Abel, Jacob and Esau brother thing, like they just put that on blast, like huge. But I don't know. I mean, but all in all, though, I mean, I dug the show. I would watch a second season just to see what they do, and hope that they don't do a grim or fringe time MacGuffin and reset everything. That would tick me off. I would say that.
Yeah,
That would make me so bad.
I definitely saw time travel coming. I definitely saw that because, like you said, the Nick guy, but also what before Nick, um, when they said it was a clone, I initially thought maybe it was the villain had come back in time before they
Hmm.
said he was a clone. So that's where my mind went. And I especially because the watch is exactly the same as the one he has cracked and all.
Hmm.
I feel like that something happened with time travel there.
Definitely. But the crazy thing about that is, if we all know from the way we've been taught in all of our time travel movies, you can't have the two of the same thing right next, like that close to each
Yeah,
other, and then not cause an issue. But
usually it does.
so I thought that was a bit strange, that there was no sort of visual representation that, oh, this is the same watch or something like that. But I don't know. I think again though. I mean, I thought it was definitely an interesting series. Um, I felt like the little trip to the island was a trip to me. That was kind of funny when when they're going, and like especially when they thought I'm gonna just turn around and then the trees jumped out the ground. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. But what I do remember is once the wall became a dome and then they went through the crack, I don't. It looked like they weren't on Earth anymore. And maybe that's the whole like it is. But I'm like, but Jupiter is a gas giant, right? Yeah, Jupiter's Saturn and Jupiter are gas giants, so that doesn't make sense. So I'm still the whole Jupiter thing is just throwing me. Like Jupiter does it as far as we know. I'm sure there is something super highly condensed that you could stand on, but you wouldn't be able to survive long enough to see the thing and become what you're supposed to become. And then this thing didn't really explain you were worthy.
How did
Huh?
I become worthy?
Yeah. Like we was just about to throw him overboard on the ship like yesterday. This what you talking about? We became worthy that fast? Like, oh, we see that they kill each other, so oh no, we good now. No, we ain't gonna do that. Oh, that makes you worthy? Like, really? I mean, that was very superficial, but I don't know. I don't know.
Okay,
I,
so what are your overall thoughts? Overall thoughts, like your final thoughts on everything that happened.
okay, so Utopian, it seems as though he's lost his, I would say, zest for life, I guess. It's what it seems like. And I'm guessing that's, due to the 90 years of existing in this superized being, and what he's seen, that he's lost some of his charisma. He doesn't have the same charisma as he had as a young man. But I mean, that's anybody as you get older, that happens, I guess. Um, Overall, instead of going to each individual, overall, I like the show. I think it definitely has a lot of potential. I'm definitely hoping that Netflix don't nix it, so that we get the second season and get some of these other ideals a chance to blossom, so we can see more into this world of Jupiter's Legacy. I mean, if I had to rate the show, I would probably give it. I would give it maybe 3.5 to 4 out of 5 stars, just because it's a little bit different. The heroes, that was one thing I meant to mention earlier, was the heroes, they get their butts beat. It's like watching Jackie Chan movies. You know, Jackie Chan usually may win, but he take a beating too. You know, and so it just gave you yeah, they have powers, but they're not invincible. You know, I thought that was a really cool take on the superhero thing. But then it also played into the family dynamic, the issues that all families have some version of this dynamic going on. You know, depending on if you got siblings, then there's some sort of rivalry there. It's not necessarily always adversarial, but there's a rivalry between siblings. That's just life in general. And then there's always somebody who's the problem child, in a family. Somebody who just don't want to get on board and do what everybody else is doing. They want to live their own life, and they're labeled as a problem child, but they just want to live their life. You know, I don't want to do what you want me to do. I want to do what I want to do. So, I mean, that would be my take on it. I enjoyed the show. Once I saw the previews for it, I was like, I'm gonna check this out. I didn't even realize that it had dropped. That was the funny thing. I didn't realize, because I was like, yeah, it's coming out. And then I got a text from mom like, yo, you need to check this out. I was like, what is up? Wait, oh, let me turn this on right now. So, but I mean, I thought it was good, the whole back and forth with the 1920s and then the present time. Ooh, it was like watching a supervised version of Pulp Fiction for me. That's kind of what it kind of put me in I was like, wait a minute, I thought we was, oh, okay, so this is back. Oh, okay, now this is present. So, but I enjoyed it. I thought they did a pretty good job of it. I mean, as with any new series, I think there's some minor issues that might need to be addressed, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. You muted.
Out of 5 stars, I'm gonna give it about a 4. I took off a star for a few reasons. That wig on that dad is terrible. At the top, you can see that it's not really into the head correctly. It never looks right. They shot 8 episodes and nobody decided to catch that. It really bothers me.
They could have photoshopped that. Like, what's going on? Anyway, you're
funny. The second reason is because even though to me the transitions from the flashbacks and coming to present were really good, they transitioned between the 1920s and current times really good. It was just like one transition that was done horribly, and it was a transition with the daughter. They went back with the daughter before she got hit by the van, and then came back up to when she was hit by the van.
Oh yeah.
That was a really bad transition. Like, they had gone back and forth so well so many times.
Mm-hmm.
Forth from the 20s to now, the 20s to now. There should have been some other indication that they were going back in a current time. Mm-hmm. And that's what that threw me a little bit. Outside of what you said about the dad, that the years have weighed on him, that's because he sees it as his responsibility to protect the world. He puts that on his shoulders. He wants to save everyone, like he couldn't save his dad, or he just wants to save everyone in general. You have those people that feel like they need to save everyone, and like he doesn't relax. And proof of that is when he was getting all comfortable with his wife in bed, and they were having husband and wife time, and he stops in the middle to go get a comic. Like, you got super speed, you can't finish that out.
Right, like, ooh.
So like like the daughter said, he is utopian. Yeah. That is him. That is his personality. Like, everyone else comes second to what he feels is his duty, and he never ever relaxes, ever. Like, literally doesn't. That is why he has lost his charm.
Yeah.
But outside of that, the show's great. I feel like Brandon would be a great leader. I feel like he has a lot of his mom in him. Um, and the sister has a lot of their dad in her. Um, Also a lot of their mom. But I feel like the Brandon would be a great leader if he was if he was if he had the right mentor, that he could be a great leader. Um, Outside of that, I would love to see how things progress after old dude Brainwaver killed his daughter. Who does that? Who does that? She was just literally minding her own business.
And she was like, just give me
Actually,
some money. Just give me some money and you good.
she did try to blackmail him.
She said, hey, give me 50 mil. I ain't gonna say nothing.
But that's because she probably thought her dad wasn't gonna kill her. Like, I don't think in my head that my dad's gonna kill me. That never crosses my mind. Like,
I mean, I guess my thought on that was, in having that conversation, it should have crossed your mind in that split second. He really planning on killing his brother. He didn't even care about my mama for real. Why would I think he care about me?
I didn't think he was planning on killing Utopian. I thought he was planning on dehumanizing him, or not dehumanizing, but killing his character in front of the world and forcing him out of the Union and taking his place.
When they showed them flashes, they showed Utopian and Brandon laid out on the table like they was dead.
My question is why he would want to kill Brandon?
Because that's what I was saying earlier. So right now, Utopian is the head honcho, right? And that's my younger brother. I'm the older brother. I should be in charge anyway, but he's in charge. Okay, he in charge. But who gonna come after him? Because nobody's even considering Grace, right? They ain't even considering Grace. It's the father and the son, because you got to get them two out of the way, because he's the natural line of succession. We don't know. Like, I don't know between Brandon and Chloe who's actually the oldest. Do we know? Because they looked about the same age, and
I thought they were twins at first.
That's what I thought. That's what I'm saying. So I was like, I don't know who's supposed to be older. That was a whole nother thing. But the natural line of succession would be to his son as leadership.
But Brandon would have no problem in his current state of mind giving that leadership to his uncle. So who would have it after his uncle? But I would if I was his uncle, I would set it up to where the Brandon comes after me. If I'm going to take over, if you're going to do this on the inside and not create your own, which is smarter, what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide son and father like he's already doing. I'm going to pull Brandon to my side, and then he's going to be my successor. He already killed his child. She not going to follow him. Somebody got to.
Yeah, but the problem is because even though Brandon made a decision, he made the decision from a place of love. Mm-hmm. I don't want my mom and daddy to die dealing with this lunatic here because of some stupid code. I'm gonna take this fool out. And the uncle does not operate from there, and Brandon would be able to see that, which is why the daddy and Brandon needs to be taken out. Brandon would see it because
he still ain't seen the manipulative stuff that he's already done. He's been manipulating him for probably his whole entire life.
Right, but once he has that epiphany, then he's gonna be a problem.
If he ain't smart enough to go start his own team, I don't think he's smart enough to think that deeply.
But it still goes back to the basics. The next person who could be a problem for me in my mind is my brother's son. If I kill his daddy,
continue to manipulate him, I can manipulate him and use him how I want to versus killing him. I'm 120 years old.
But what we don't know, and I don't remember anything alluding to it, is if his mental abilities affect Brandon, just like he can't affect his dad.
I'm not talking about using his mental abilities to affect
You're talking about manipulating the circumstances.
Yes, he's been doing that this entire time.
Right, but at some point, at some point with the experience, Brandon would wake up and realize something ain't right. And again, it's gonna come down to Brandon realize something ain't right. He gonna realize you the culprit, and it's gonna be hell to pay. So it's easier to get rid of y'all. Chloe don't give a damn at this point. And according to the little brief stuff I read about the comics, she actually turned on everybody. So she don't care. So she ain't the problem, even though she seems to me more powerful than Brandon, but she just want to do her own thing. I don't give a shit. So, so the two main that they focus on, again, I'm with you. Why nobody's considering Grace? Like Grace might figure it out before Brandon. You know, because
Grace
she
definitely would figure it out before.
Because she, you know, the reporter instincts kick in, which I don't know why they ain't kicked in over these 90 years, but they could kick back in, and she started going, wait a minute, hold on, didn't what? And well, then see, that's, you know,
it's strange to me that Chloe in the comics becomes the bad guy or flips on everybody, because when her and her brother are close. So you would think if someone's trying to kill her brother, she would care. So well, that really,
according to the little, it's just a little snippet. It's saying that she led the superhero community in betraying and murdering her parents. So yeah, and then she hid with her boyfriend, which goes to the guy in the van. The dude in the van, and I get what you're saying, because when it first happened, I was like, what? But then I was like, oh, that makes so much more sense now, because when they hit her and she said, I know you, I was like, well, we ain't seen no interaction with her and him, so that.
But where see, did that come already from? Crossed my mind that he was George's son. I don't remember what I had saw early on, but in my mind, I was like, that could be George's son, and I don't know why they came to me. It's just that's what happens when I watch movies. Things just come to me.
But I mean, even with that being the case, because it was a level of familiarity. I wasn't thinking about it necessarily from that vantage point, but more so from the vantage point that they was messing around. Mm-hmm. Like that when she made that statement, I was like, what made her say that? Because we didn't know who he was. But then when they did the flashback and showed how, and it was like, oh, so that was also why she didn't just jack him up, because they already had something going. And so she was a little tipsy because she was high.
she destroyed the entire bag.
And I was like,
she don't even know what it was.
Well, I was like, that had to be some super narcotics, because when she was doing her photo shoot, she snorted. It had to have been about 7-8 grams up in there, and it was like it ain't had no effect. It was like she was the Flash. You know how the Flash can't get drunk because his metabolism so fast. I was like, she is not getting the buzz she expected from this, because she just keep going back and just. I was like, woo, she gonna have a brain hemorrhage as much coke as she was taking. That was crazy. But when she found that new stuff, I was like, But like you say, it eventually hit her. I was surprised that it hit her and put her in the hospital, but it had to be some super stuff. Maybe like the dude in the X-Men, that they was pulling the stuff out of his spine, his body produced something that would take your powers away. It was like maybe they doing that, crystallizing something. I don't know. But it was crazy when my man said big man's heart. Then I was like, oh, that's crazy. And then he just called it back, and he was like, it only listen to me. It don't matter where it is. It listen to me. I was like, oh, yo, that's deep. His dad hooked him up on that one.
Daddy did.
Because I was like, he can hear you. But I thought it was hilarious when he went in that vault and it wasn't enough oxygen for him to say nothing. That was funny. I was like, ooh, they was ready for something like that. That was hilarious.
And then she had to come save him.
Yeah, that was. But see, that's a whole nother thing too. They got these Superman level hearing and stuff, but they not like Utopia show up when the media coming. Yeah, it's the media comments coming. It's gonna hit us. And then she like heard him through no oxygen, no vibration. He couldn't even make any noise because there was not enough oxygen in the room. So how did she even hear that he was in trouble?
Well, she was following him.
Oh, I didn't hear her say she was
Yeah,
following him.
yeah. He said, "You following me?" She's like, "I saved
Oh,
you, didn't I?"
okay. I missed some of the words they was exchanging right there. Okay, because I was just like, I don't know how she heard him. That threw me for a minute,
She did
but
not like his friend. She had to make sure he was safe.
yeah, well, when you got that good D, I guess.
Dear Lord, dear Lord. On that note, we're going to go ahead and end today's discussion. It was awesome talking about this new show that was so much better than The Boys, by the way. It should have all the hype that The Boys has, but it doesn't.
I don't necessarily agree with you on that. And I don't know. I like The Boys. I like the take on it. The whole some of these people are just human beings who got gifts but they still got their flaws, you know. So
It shows that too.
yeah. But I mean, I think for me with The Boys, it's a lot of the sarcasm maybe and there's a lot of shock value moments in The Boys that just tickles me. And so that's why I like that show. I thought that show was hilarious. But I'm gonna tell you now, it's only 8 episodes. They not doing no more until the next season for that Invincible. You gotta watch that. That's good.
I might. I turned it on and it was too bright, so I turned it back off. I'm serious.
You talking about the colors in this show?
When I turned it on, the first scene was just like bright blue and yellow, and I was just like, my eyes, Vito, I'm done now. So I might make my way back to it. Look, maybe my roommate Samsung TV he got in the living room is too much for me. Okay, maybe I gotta watch it on a smaller screen with less quality. Okay.
Oh, just the settings on the TV. It's just
look, it was too bright. I vetoed it immediately.
But it definitely has a very bright palette because of, I mean, the dad is white and red. Invincible himself is blue and ends up being blue and gold. Don't tell me anything
about it. I'm gonna make.
I was just giving you some colors. I'm not gonna tell you.
I have not even watched the trailer. I don't do trailers very often.
You know what? I stumbled on it. I never saw a trailer for that show. I just happened to be on Prime one day just trying to find something. It was late. I was bored. I was like, but I'm not sleepy. So let me just do. And I ran across the first episode. I was like, oh.
I've been a little hesitant because people said that it was like a cartoon version of The Boys, and I didn't like The Boys.
No, so it's not. It's not.
It didn't really appeal to my better nature.
No, and see, my thing is, I don't like to compare things in that regard. Like, okay, yes, it's superhero thing kind of deal going on, but it's not in the same vein. It has so many different layers to it, you know, that it's a different spin. It's almost like I guess you could combine it with maybe Brightburn. There's an element of Brightburn there, but it's not coming in the direction that you think it would be coming from. Yeah, that's really the only part, because everything else is there. You know, there's some superpowered people, but everybody's level of power is different, you know, and then there's some characters that you're like, I don't get why this is what it is. And then you're like, oh, see, I wasn't expecting that. So it's got some twists and turns in it. And if you're not familiar with the comic, which I wasn't, I had no idea what the storyline was. And so for me, I was surprised to the graphic nature of it. That got me the first time I saw somebody.
See, too much. You're telling me too much.
Well, first time I saw somebody get it, I was like, whoa, wasn't expecting that. So I'll give you a great example. You remember Meet? Did you ever watch Meet Joe Black? It's got Brad Pitt in it, where He
No.
like plays, I think he plays death or something. But there's a scene where he's walking down the street. He's met this lady. They say something to each other.
You are telling me too much about this show right now.
And I'm just saying, but he walks off and the most unexpected thing happens. He walks out and gets just mopped by this car.
See,
Boom.
now things are not going to be unexpected because you say unexpected things happen. This is how you spoil stuff.
But I ain't telling you about this show.
It doesn't. So now I'm
just
gonna be
giving
waiting
you
for
an
some. I'm gonna be
example
on
of
the edge of my
something.
seat, waiting for unexpected stuff to happen.
Okay, but again, I still say
I'm an overthinker. That's how my mind works.
I still say if you've never read this comic and you haven't, and nobody's giving you any of the storyline, I think you might enjoy the show. But if they've given you the storyline, or you like read the people talking about, man, they done got political, and like, man, shut up. Let me watch the show. You don't like it, that's fine. You don't like it, let me watch it. Because I find that a lot of times when I hear people's other expectations, then it'll dampen me. So I get what you're saying. That's why I'm not telling you details of the show. I may give an example of something in the vein, but it's not what happened in this show. So, but yeah, so I don't know. I enjoy it. I'm like, they better have a second and third season because I enjoyed it. I was looking forward to it, and I hate having to wait every week. It was like, that's what I had to do with Winter Soldier. The Falcon and Winter Soldier had to wait every week. I was like, come on, man, just drop it all so I can watch it and be like, oh, it was great, or oh, I didn't like it, but I don't know.
All right. So on that note, I am that LoOpy chick. My website is currently under construction. Please do not go to thatloopychick.com. I am working on rebranding still. And the reason why it's taking me so long to rebrand is because I'm indecisive and I'm trying to figure out what direction I'm gonna go in for my new website. So I'm that LoOpy chick on Instagram. My Instagram's active. Got some pictures. I'm awesome. I'm that LoOpy chick on Facebook. I am that LoOpy chick on Twitter. My Twitter's not that active. I don't really like Twitter. And just follow me, should see all the random stuff I post. Definitely check out LoOpy Land Talk Radio. That is LoOpy Land, one word, Talk Radio on Facebook. That is where I post all of fan base, like fan stuff, like about movies, TVs, books, all of that jazz. That LoOpy chick is where I'm pretty much a blogger. If you want to know what my inside thoughts about the world are, go there. And then Adair, if you want to go ahead and do your spiel.
Hey, once again, it's been a pleasure being on the show, LoOpy. I am Adair, Rowan, aka Adaro, the anointed disciple, always under righteous obedience. It's been a pleasure. Love coming on the show and giving my 2 cents on different topics. I'm a photographer. Check me out at darophotography.com, Daro Photo Instagram. I'm on Twitter under my personal and business, but I'm with LoOpy. I ain't big on Twitter. I do a lot more seeing what somebody done tweeted versus me tweeting. It's very rare I tweet. But yeah, so, and I haven't done a whole lot of videos other than jumping in where I've been so graciously asked and allowed to give my opinion. But I'm thinking about doing some stuff. So I'm thinking about some things and a couple of things that I have posted. I forgot what I got it on YouTube. I think I just got it under Daro on YouTube. But anyway, sometimes I talk about political stuff, especially what's going on in this crazy country. Yes, it's our country. I love America and all that, but we got some crazy ish going on. So I might drop something and I'll let y'all know when I do it. Okay, that's all I'm gonna leave it right there.
That's right. Surprise them. Blow their minds. Yeah. Alrighty. So it's been my pleasure to entertain you guys with our thoughts of Jupiter's Legacy. And I hesitate every time because I forget what it's called because it has absolutely nothing to do with the show so far. Alrighty. Stay awesome, guys.
Peace.